Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Absolutely Podcast, the podcast specifically designed to help women defeat diet culture and live their dream healthy lifestyle. Today, we have a fun episode in store because I'm going to be talking about all things alcohol and how to still drink alcohol and achieve your fitness goals. This may sound completely wild, kind of based on the fitness industry and what people have said and demonized about alcohol. And I am not saying that alcohol is in any way, shape, or form good for you, but the reality is that it is a social part of a lot of our lives. And if you are not sober, obviously it's something that can be enjoyed from time to time and you shouldn't feel like you have to cut it out completely in order to achieve your fat loss goals, physique goals, or just maintaining your weight. There is a way to balance alcohol and still look and feel the way that you want. Now, I will say, times in my life where I am drinking less, I do tend to feel better. Shocker. Alcohol is literally a toxin for your body. But I will also say that times in my life that I have restricted alcohol and said, no, I can't go to these social things. No, I can't enjoy a drink at dinner with my family, whatever. That also has negative side effects of like those social negative side effects for myself as well, and kind of having that restriction. So now I've gotten to a point where I have a really good balance with alcohol where I am enjoying it somewhat frequently, but not so frequently that I am putting a damper onto my physique goals, but also not putting a damper on my social goals as well. So I'm going to be talking about kind of my journey a little bit with alcohol, as well as some tips on how to drink alcohol, implement it into your lifestyle, but also allow yourself to still make results from the alcohol that you are drinking, if that makes any sense. So let's first of all kind of talk about my journey with alcohol and how my mindset is right now, because I used to definitely be a person that thought that alcohol was so bad, and I thought if I drank at all I was going to ruin all of my progress, and I thought it was something that couldn't be kind of utilized in my lifestyle if I wanted any sort of like physique goals. And it was obviously hard to completely cut out alcohol from my life, and there was points in my life where I did turn down a lot of social things, and I definitely restricted myself on that end, and it caused me to feel pretty isolated. Like, yes, I know I don't have to drink, and it's something that you obviously there's a lot of people that are sober and have a ton of fun and stuff, but like for me personally, like I don't have like an issue like with alcohol. Like I like to enjoy it from time to time, but I definitely had like the restrictive mindset. Like I viewed alcohol similarly to like any sort of like bad foods. Like I viewed it as like having like a cheat meal or having foods that was like going to go over my calories. Like I was thinking about alcohol more so from like a health perspective of like I'm going to gain fat if I drink alcohol. And I got in a really negative headspace with not only alcohol but like food in general, just feeling like anything I was eating above my calories was going to cause me to gain weight, like anything considered bad. So I was in that headspace, and alcohol was a part of that. And so I decided I was just going to try to like cut out alcohol, and that just made things worse, obviously. And I would have times where I'd drink a lot more, or when I was struggling a lot in my fitness journey, I was also in college. So that's obviously a time where you drink a lot. And I definitely had more of my drinking days back in college. And that was something that it was pretty hard to balance, like both like drinking and health and fitness goals while I was in college, because I really didn't have the balance that I do now. But it was also just like more prevalent to like go out on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And I wasn't doing that. I was mostly like a Friday, Saturday, or like 2 days a week kind of gal, but it was more prevalent. Now I'm maybe like doing a big thing like that, like once a month, maybe even less, and maybe just having a couple drinks at dinner like per week. So I definitely think that if you're in a season of your life where you're in college or whatever, if you're listening to this, I don't really have a ton of college girls that listen to my podcast, or I don't know, maybe I do and they're hiding from the analytics, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging. Whereas someone that's in adulthood and they are not like going out as frequently, and maybe like are in a relationship and don't go out as much. I mean, I just feel like that's something that naturally you grow out of as you get a little bit older. But that's something now I'm like, oh, that sounds literally terrible to be like up super late drinking. I can literally only do that every once in a while, or I need to recover for like 5+ business days. But I know I just got super off topic with that, but basically in an unhealthy relationship with food, alcohol, exercise, all of the things. And now I have really developed a lifestyle where I don't see anything as good or bad. Yes, alcohol is bad. I will not say it's a good, healthy thing. But I don't view it now as like it's something I need to restrict or something I can't do. Like if I want to have a drink, I will have a drink. I just will be very mindful with my alcohol intake, whereas in the past I wasn't as mindful with it. I viewed it as very all or nothing. I viewed it as very like a bad thing to have. And now I'm like, okay, if I want to have a drink, I'm going to do some things throughout the day to balance and counteract that. I'm not going to use it as an opportunity to allow myself to go off track and to have bad habits following alcohol. And I am going to kind of address how I got to this point and the things that I do when I am drinking to have a healthy relationship with alcohol and my health and fitness in general. And I'm in no way like speaking on like if you have like an issue with alcohol or whatever, like this is purely just from the fitness perspective on how I'm able to maintain my physique / lose weight and still drink alcohol. I am currently on week like 7 or 8 of my deficit phase. Not sure. I need to check on that because I know I was doing an 8-week deficit. I believe I'm on like week 6 or 7. But I've been drinking alcohol at least once per week this whole deficit, and I've been able to still lose like 7 pounds. So it is definitely possible. I have drank during each one of my deficits and still been able to lose body fat. And I definitely indulge in alcohol when I am in maintenance phase for sure. And I will say my life kind of like ebbs and flows when it comes to alcohol as well. On a weekly basis, I'm usually drinking like 1 to 2 days out of the week. And one of those days is usually like 2 to 3 drinks. And then another one of those days is maybe like 1 to 2 drinks, maybe. So I'm not really drinking a ton over the course of a week. Every once in a while, I'll have like a night where I do like drink more, maybe have like a party or something that does not require, but I just like to have a little bit more. I wish it required. No, I just like to have a little bit, maybe more alcohol. And if I'm having fun and stuff, I don't allow that to be like, oh my gosh, I am over on macros for the day, I'm not going to have that extra drink. Like I will allow myself because it's not like I'm doing that every single weekend or anything. But that's kind of like the frequency for like what I do right now as far as alcohol goes, drinking wise. But I'm not doing it super often. And usually when I am drinking, it's like at a dinner or like having like 1 or 2 drinks, like going golfing or something like that. So it's nothing like I'm like going out and binge drink or anything like that, like I was more so in college, which obviously it's going to be a really hard to maintain your physique if you're going out every single weekend and binge drinking. I'm talking more so like this is more casual drinking, like if you need to drink when you never need to drink, but I know I keep saying that, but you never need to drink. But if you want to have a drink when you're out, like maybe at like a work event or, you have like a pretty social job, like that is something that literally is part of your life. So like, let's learn how to incorporate that within your life. My family as a whole, like we all like to enjoy beverages. So that's something that I wanted to incorporate within my lifestyle. And to really figure out that key of how I do it. So now I've kind of figured out like drinking 1 to 2 days per week is perfect for me. I'll have weeks though where I don't drink. All weeks are there where I do drink and it sounds really good, but I treat alcohol just the same as I do food. Like if I want Oreos and I'm really craving that, I'll have it. If I want In-N-Out and I'm really craving it, I'll have it. I have a very 80-20 approach to my nutrition. So that 20%, I am including alcohol in that as well. But it is a misconception that you're not able to lose body fat and drink. You can definitely drink when you are trying to lose weight. Yes, it does slow down fat loss. So if that is something that you are trying to lose body fat and you really want to be adamant about it, you want to make sure you are limiting your alcohol as much as possible. But for me, I don't really notice it slowing down my fat loss so much. I think what people find is that they tend to do bad habits following alcohol that cause fat loss to slow down. So I'll be talking about that here in a little bit. But scientifically, there have been studies done that it does slow down your fat loss, but I think it's just by a tiny bit. Like you won't really notice it if you are accounting for your alcohol calories. That being said, alcohol is calories. I remember when I first was in college and I Googled how many calories were in a shot, I wanted to actually cry because I had been doing many of those shots every weekend. I'm like, okay, that now makes a lot of sense. But with alcohol, you want to make sure that you are keeping account of your alcohol. And if you're tracking your macros, you're going to want to make sure to track your alcohol. And this is why I think macros is super helpful as well, is because you get a really good grasp on like how many calories are in alcohol and how you can balance alcohol within a day and still be able to maintain/lose weight. This is something that helped me so much, was recognizing like how many calories are in alcohol and how I can, have the best of both worlds and make sure that I'm still feeling my body and able to enjoy a couple of drinks on the weekend. So when you're tracking alcohol in your macros, it is going to be a calorie dense, empty food, empty calories pretty much. So it is 7 calories per gram of alcohol. So basically what you want to calculate is you can either divide it between your carbs and fats, or you can do it all carbs or all fats. So that probably sounds confusing. But basically, if you're drinking a White Claw, 100 gram or 100 calories of a White Claw, that would be 25 grams of carbs, and that would be, I have to do the math on the fats. But that would be 25 grams of carbs, and then that would be 11 grams of fats if you wanted to count it towards your fats. So when you're drinking alcohol, you either want to count it towards your carbs or your fats if you're counting macros, because it is an empty calorie, and you want to obviously make sure you're still hitting your protein goal when you are drinking alcohol. So I count it towards either carbs or fats, or I kind of do a blend of carbs and fats. But for instance, tonight I am going out to dinner and I'm having a couple of margaritas, or at least I intend to have a couple of margaritas. So what I did was I just tracked 300 calories from carbs, which is 300 divided by 4 is 75. So I tracked 75 grams of carbs towards alcohol. So when you're tracking macros, you have to make sure that you are counting alcohol in your macros, or else it's going to throw those off and you're probably not going to make the progress that you want. So alcohol has calories in it and you want to make sure that you are accounting for it, and tracking macros is a really good tool to actually just gain awareness and learn how many calories actually are coming from alcohol and how to balance that. So I'm going to go over what I do on a day that I drink. So 1 to 2 times per week when I am drinking, I will try my best to plan ahead. So if I know I'm going out to dinner, or maybe I know I'm going out to the bars and meeting some friends that night, I'm going to plan my day accordingly. Whether I am tracking macros or not, I'm going to do a couple of little things to make sure that I am front loading that day, so I'm not going into the night and already being like way over my calories and then drinking on top of that. That's where you can lead into some issues. And if you're doing that every single weekend, obviously that could lead to potential unwanted fat gain, which is what we don't want. So what I do on a day that I drink is I think to myself, okay, how can I prepare for the night of drinking? And in college, I would do things that were very unhealthy, like not eat throughout the day, like at all, and then go into the night and get super drunk. And that is not cute either. I still feel my body up until I drink. Like I am not eating throughout the day, no matter how many drinks I'm having at night, I am still eating throughout the day. But what I will do is I will focus on higher protein meals and that are lower in carb and lower in fat. So for instance, this morning, I usually have a full English muffin, 2 eggs, egg whites, and then raspberries for my micronutrients. But today, since I know I'm going to be having a little bit of extra calories at night, because I'm going out to dinner, having a drink, I actually had 1 piece of bread instead of a full English muffin. I had egg whites and 1 egg instead of 2 eggs to limit the fats. And then I had the same serving of raspberries. So basically just limiting my fats and carbs throughout the day and increasing proteins on my meals. So that is what I do on a day that I know I'm going to be drinking, or I think I'm going to be drinking. Another thing I will do is pre-log my alcohol. So basically I will pre-log in like that 300 carbs or not 300 carbs, 300 calories, 20 or 25 grams of carbs. So I kind of multiply it by how many drinks I think I'm going to have. Usually I'll track like 3 to 4 drinks, kind of depending on what I'm doing. Like if I know I'm going out to dinner, I won't track like that much. I'll track like 1 to 2 drinks. But if I know I'm like going out, like last weekend I had an event with friends and I knew I'd probably be having like maybe like 3 or 4 drinks throughout the night, I just tracked like those 400 calories from drinks that I knew I was going to have. So I really like pre-tracking those in and then building the rest of my day around it and hitting my macros that way, and then just sticking to that meal plan throughout the day. So that is what I do if I'm like at home and I know I'm going to be drinking and I can pre-log. If I don't have the luxury to pre-log my alcohol, what I will do is I will just do that higher protein strategy. So like when I'm on vacation or something like that and I'm not tracking my macros, or maybe I'm just intuitively eating, I'm going through a phase where I'm not tracking my macros for the moment, I will just try to eat higher in protein, lower in fat throughout the day, and then it'll balance out throughout the night. So the luxury of tracking your macros and learning about macros and nutrition in general is that you will be able to do this just second nature, and you won't even need to track your food or alcohol to know how many calories you're having, and you're not going to like go over on your calories or anything like that unless it's intentionally. So I think the biggest thing to focus on throughout the day when you are going to be drinking at night is the protein and limiting those carbs and fats. That's the number one thing I like to do. And then that way you go into the night, maybe you are having a dinner or something out as well, and you have a little bit of an extra calorie bank for allocating towards those drinks. So other pro tips I have is to have low calorie drinks. So when we are going out, it's really easy to also have a lot of sugar with those drinks, which also makes you feel hungover, not well, and just gross the next day. So this is honestly like a win-win situation. So my favorite thing to do is to have clear alcohol drinks. So tequila and vodka are going to be like the lightest drinks for when you are having drinks out. I love myself a dirty martini. Like a tequila soda is okay. I sometimes want to gag when I have them. But what I will do is sometimes bring like a Crystal Light or like a Mio squeezy bottle of like the flavor drops. And that really helps. Or even having like a seltzer, a White Claw, High Noon. Those are really good. Prosecco, if I'm like feeling like I'm wanting like wine or something, I'll have a glass of Prosecco, or sometimes I'll have the glass of wine. Like there's nothing wrong with having like a higher calorie thing, and wine in the grand scheme of things is really not that high in calorie. Where you can go awry is like super sugary martinis, espresso martinis, any sort of like drink with a ton of juice in it, or like that's creamy or something. Like that's where you can rack up a ton of calories on top of the alcohol, where it can be a little bit more of like a calorie bomb per se. So what I will do is like, if you're a person that loves like a great espresso martini, like go you pop off. What I would do is just order maybe one of those, and then the rest follow them with lower calorie alcohol beverage. So for instance, maybe order one espresso martini, and then the rest of the drinks maybe have like vodka sodas or something a little bit lighter. That will help with, yes, you get the balance, you get the one drink, you enjoy that, but then you follow that with lower calorie beverages so that you can stay on track with your goals, and you can also feel better in the morning, because you're probably going to wake up feeling way better if you have vodka sodas than if you have all espresso martinis with all of that sugar and stuff. And then also like, don't set yourself up for failure when it comes to drinking. Like don't go into the night not eating anything and then coming home and like having a ton of food, right? Like you want to make sure you're fueling your body throughout the day. You want to make sure that you are having water in between things, all of the basic things that when it comes to having alcohol, basically. But I really love that higher calorie drink followed by lower calorie. If you're going to be out, make sure you're ordering even like a skinny margarita. Like that's a great choice. A lot of drinks will just be filled with sugar. So wherever you can save on like the sugar aspect of things, your body will be thanking you. Your hangover the next day will be thanking you. And also your fitness journey will be thanking you as well. And so I've been talking a lot about like the actual alcohol part of things, but what I find is that it's really not usually the reason the reason you gain weight is not usually from like the alcohol. It's usually from all of the habits that follow you drinking the alcohol. So think about it. You have 3 martinis, you come home, you decide you're hungry, so you order a pizza. Then you don't wake up the next day till noon and you miss your workout class, and then you realize that you need to go do something, and then you don't get your workout for the day. So it's usually like a spiral of things that happen after drinking that lead to weight gain and actually like losing progress in your fitness journey. So one thing that I make a non-negotiable for myself is like, hey, if I'm drinking and I'm going to be hungover and I know I'm going to be hungover, plan your workouts around that. So that way you're not missing that workout on Saturday. So for instance, last week I went out the night before and I knew I was like probably going to be getting enough sleep. So I knew I was going to be waking up and not feeling my best. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do my workouts earlier in the week, and I will still make it a non-negotiable for myself even when I am hungover the next day to get some sort of movement in. Sometimes I'm feeling good enough to do a workout, sometimes it's just a walk, but I don't let it interfere with my activity, and I just have made that commitment to myself of like, Abbie, you made that choice to maybe have one too many drinks than you maybe should have. I'm not going to let that deter my fitness progress and my dedication and commitment to my health. I'm not going to turn that into like 1, 2, 3 bad days. I am just going to get right back into routine. I'm going to make sure I'm eating healthy the next day, walking, working out, doing all those things. I don't let that hold me back. And I think that's one mindset thing that a lot of people can't get a hold of is not letting it cause havoc on your life the following day or the following couple of days. So another thing too is just like the getting home aspect and wanting to order like greasy food or maybe like getting McDonald's on the way home. And I definitely have done this before. Don't get me wrong. But most of the time, I will come home and I'll try to just like go to bed. But if I'm like genuinely hungry, because a lot of times when you're drinking and maybe you're like out at bars or clubs or whatever, I don't do that really anymore, but when I was doing that more so, you're dancing, you're walking around a lot, like you're actually burning a lot of calories. So you might genuinely be hungry. And so I'll come home and I'll actually evaluate like, am I hungry or am I just like feeling snacky? And if I'm feeling snacky, I'll just try to like drink some water and go to bed. But if I'm genuinely hungry, I'll maybe have something like cottage cheese and like chips or something like a little bit more high in protein just to satiate myself. I'll try not to just like binge on a bunch of things. I'll try to like make actually like a little like meal or have some like eggs or toast or like something a little bit balanced. So that way I have that fix and I actually am like feeling my body and then going to bed and sleeping better. But I really try not to come home and then like have a bunch of unhealthy things either. That can be a slippery slope and we've all been there, I'm sure. I mean, I know I've been there. But that also goes into like eating the day, the up to drinking too. You don't want to just like starve yourself throughout the day because you're definitely going to be starving when you come home at night. So don't set yourself up for failure in that aspect and don't let that one night of drinking turn into like 2 days off, right? Get back up, get right back into the routine and get things going again. So that is kind of all of my tips on alcohol. I think the biggest takeaway from this podcast is that yes, you can drink and you can still achieve your goals, but you got to be a little bit more strategic. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to like willy-nilly drink and think I'm going to still lose body fat and look and wait, feel the way I want. You still have to be strategic about it. You got to make sure you have that commitment to yourself. Get up, still get your workout in, still make sure you're eating healthy. Don't let one bad day turn into a few bad days, turn into a whole spiral. And know that life is about balance, right? Like you should be able to have the cocktail, have fun going out, and it should be a part of that 80-20 balance. And this is really how I've been able to drink, still lose weight, still look the way I want, but still have that balance in life ultimately. So hopefully you all found this episode helpful. Make sure to subscribe, leave a rating and review. That would be super helpful for me. And I will chat with you all next week. Bye.